welcome to our session, Improve Your Public Speaking Skills as a Transformation Change Agent with AI. Today, I'm deeply honored to have my good friend, Mr. Cyril Aware, join me today as we share on speaking with confidence. It's one of the key skills that even when you can speak so well, you really need to develop and hone that skill, your ability to speak with confidence. So, our session today just focuses on how to speak with confidence. And I'll be spending some time as well asking Mr. Ware some key questions on how he has developed his confidence over the years. And I know he's spoken at a lot of events and what has made him that confident speaker. So, our agenda would be understanding the importance of speaking with confidence, which we all agree is important, strategies of building confidence, developing the speaking skills through practice. I'll share some of the tricks of the trade and how I got in and how I am keeping myself in it, because it comes with constant practice. As we know with sportsmen, we do find them constantly practicing, honing and harnessing their skills. And we will look at how to handle challenges and connecting with audience. Then it will be a time spent with Mr. Aware. So I will do a quick intro into the topic before we start the conversation. So, what is the importance of speaking with confidence? Confidence, as we all can agree, is a powerful ingredient in effective communication. It can help us captivate our audience and leave a lasting impression. You and I can think about some of the charismatic leaders that have captivated us, and we admire them. The confidence in their words and their delivery sets them apart as we listen to them speak. When we speak with confidence, the beauty is we exude credibility and persuasiveness. It also allows us to convey our message with conviction, inspiring trust, and instilling that confidence in others. Moreover, it helps us to manage our nervousness and anxiety whilst projecting and engaging our various audience. But to build that confidence requires that we embrace our vulnerability and authenticity whilst communicating. We need to practice to gain that confidence and familiarity with the topic. We also have to find ourselves visualizing what success is. How am I getting to that particular Havana point? If I ask us to reflect and spend a moment and think about a charismatic leader, there were so many that was mentioned, the likes of Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela, and many more. But you also can become a confident speaker. So when we touch on it, there are three things I look at. Confidence can help you elevate your communication. It will help you inspire. And finally, it will help you leave a lasting impression on the people you engage with. So let's think about it. What do we need as the basics when we are going on the journey? First, we need to be able to write a compelling and effective speech. Once we have that written down, we've defined the purpose of the speech, we know our audience, we've been able to structure the speech in such a way that it's helping us engage with the audience. We've crafted and refined that compelling speech. We've used effective language, gone back and forth to review it. I'll share some of the AI tools that can help you review your speech. The last bit is that practice. And that practice requires that you build a confidence, and the confidence that would help you wow your audience. What are some of the strategies that can help you build your confidence? But the key question becomes how? We've already talked about the why, and we all know why it's needed. Whether you're delivering a presentation in a meeting or engaging in a conversation or being called upon to give a closing speech or prayer. How you are able to speak with confidence would help the people around join you in that particular moment. If you have a very confident speaker praying, you feel like, oh, I'm in the spirit, or I'm really being brought into this particular speech. And there's so much clarity and conviction and impact when you have such a confident speaker with you on the journey. So, what should we be doing? What are some of the um, tactics that we can harness? First, embrace your vulnerability. Secondly, I would say practice, visualize, seek to find ways to improve and adapt. When I take each one, embrace vulnerability. When I started, I just understood that I really had to find some time to get myself out there. So, the first few things I could talk about are my experiences, my personal stories that will connect with others. And I was willing to also accept my mistakes when engaging in public speaking situations. I was trying to be transparent and asking for help. Secondly, I also spent quite a lot of time practicing, preparing, rehearsing, rehearsing multiple times to get into that zone to be able to speak. And with that continuous preparation, I was able to uh, develop that potential to respond to any challenges and keep my confidence and composure. Thirdly, whenever I was engaged in a public speaking situation, I was thinking about how does success look like? What are some of the positive outcomes? And before stepping out, I would always be saying, okay, I know my speech is well refined. I've done the practice. I'm going to speak and engage with the audience. After the speaking opportunities, what I did was I always seek feedback. Feedback, we say, is the breakfast of champions. And if you are not seeking feedback, you are not improving yourself. Request feedback from folks who've done it over and over again, and learn from your successes, learn from your failures, learn from your challenges, and constantly identify areas of improvement. Finally, when you're on the stage, your body posture, how you stand to engage with the audience, is also very key. One thing I learned was, if you are on a stage, think of the stage as a triangle. Using the three-step rule, go to one end of the triangle, move to the other end of the triangle, come back to the other end. Well, we've all been in a speaking situation where we found the speaker walking up and down, and that has not been helpful with how we would listen and connect. Some great speakers spend time walking up on the stage, and people do not connect with the valuable insights they want to share. So, even when you've got your acts right, how you compose yourself on the stage is so important. When you're speaking online, it's so important as well for people to see that you are well composed, ready to speak to them, looking straight into the camera and with a smile and engaging with the audience is such an important thing. Practice it so that whenever you have the opportunity, you can really have a home run win when engaging with an audience. So, we want to start speaking and we want to start practicing. How do you go about it? First, I recommend start at home and record yourself. Find your phone, write a speech. These days, ChatGPT can write you a good speech. Record yourself speaking. And one of the tough things that you find is looking at yourself after you've recorded yourself. But the beauty is, once you've recorded yourself, you are able to go back and say, no, I need to change this. I'm not doing this right. I can improve on this. This can be improved. And record yourself over and over. Keep the first one and keep recording subsequent one, deleting them. And when you reach a point, you compare the first one with what you now have, you would have seen a big difference in what you are doing. And that is one of the key ways I happen to improve myself whilst learning on this journey. Secondly, I recommend teach someone. Find someone you know and talk to them on a particular topic. Teaching someone, getting feedback from them also enables you to gain that confidence to be able to speak in public. Next is volunteer to speak at ceremonies. That is hard, but that is when you get the experience. You've started at home, you've been teaching people, volunteer to speak. Go to various events and say, look, I want to support, I want to be able to speak, but be mindful that before someone will let you be on their stage, they really need to have that credibility for you. So you can find events, church, children's events, events that are not so big that people have paid and people are willing to see a great speaker. Find events that would help you build your confidence and then speak for free, and later you can start charging. Lastly, I'll say go out and watch other speakers, and that is how you improve. When you see a great speaker, what you tend to learn from them is what you would practice. Go out, record them, see what they've done so well, and then use what they've done in your next speeches. If you were to do all this, someone who can help you as well is a coach or mentor, someone who has been on the journey, who's done it before, and can really guide you. A coach or mentor can help you expedite the entire process so that you become a more confident speaker and can engage your audience. In doing all this, how can AI help us? There are various AI tools out there that can help us on this journey, and I'll talk about a few. Yeah. For speech analysis, we've got IBM Watson Speech, we've got Google Speech to test, and this would help you speak into them. It would bring out the words, you would identify what you've said, and you would have seen where you've said a lot of and then you start identifying some filler words you want to remove. Each and every one of us started with filler words. I was so used to saying and people could count it. But when I spent more time speaking, learning, practicing, I was able to reduce my and ums, and that helped connect with people. Grammarly is a good language enhancement tool. Once you've created your speech, spend some time putting it in Grammarly for free and then refine your speech. In refining your speech, you would have learned new words, you would have crafted new words, and it would have helped you improve your speech. Microsoft Editor is a good one, but I think Grammarly does better than most of the other tools out there. Pronunciation is key, being able to pronounce the words, making sure that people can hear you. And I keep getting this. I'm not the only one. When I go out in some audiences, they'll say, William, the word you used, I didn't get it. And I would have to slow down, say the word so people can get it. Use Elsa Speak or Pronunciation Power to help you on that journey. In terms of speech practice, there are tools like virtual speech or VR presentation. I would recommend get your phone, record yourself, and practice. Our phone is a free tool that we can record ourselves, set it up, put some books on it, put some books up, set it up, or get a nice get a tool that will help you connect your phone. I've just forgotten the name. Set your phone up and make sure that the phone can see you and record yourself. To improve on your public speaking, there are coaches, oral or virtual speech coach, and they can all help you with that particular journey. but nothing beats a human coach on helping you on the journey. Real life practice, there's Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a public speaking club. I've been a member for years, and that has helped me on the journey. They've got an AI tool that can help you on that particular journey. There are tools like My Calm Beat for anxiety management and Headspace Calm to help you manage stage fright. But once you start practicing from the house, doing free speeches, offering yourself to volunteer to speak, it helps you manage stage fright. Most of us are unable to speak because we are unable to manage that particular stage fright. Finally, embrace continuous improvement. That is key to managing yourself. Continuous improvement tools are Liebird and Rosetta Stone, or all the AI tools out there. But for you to be able to improve, get your friends and families to give you that feedback. All these AI tools are helpful. Get the human feedback, and that would help you get on the journey. Of course, I've said all this, and everyone is saying, William, it's easy for you. But I agree, there are challenges. How do we handle challenges on this journey? When I started, I experienced challenges, and I made it a point to what? Get better and better every day. One of the things I'll say, cut all strings with those who make you feel yourself that you don't deserve it. There are people who say, I'm not a good speaker and this is something I'm not going to do. Why bother? I'll say being able to speak has sent me around, I'll say around the world. I've seen many places. And for me, it's been a helpful journey. But what you can do to handle these challenges are seek feedback quickly. I had 3, 4 coaches, and after a while, I had great speakers who wanted to coach me, and I took it upon myself to listen to them, be like a sponge, and continuously improve. I joined Toastmasters, joined 3 or 4 clubs, and it helped me improve quickly. I also offer training. I went to places, and whenever they said, "Does anyone want to say a word?" I'll stand up, say a few words. Sometimes I failed. Sometimes I was absolutely rubbish. I could go back and listen to myself and say, "What did you just say?" But failing, improving, trying again were the key things that enabled me on this journey. These are the key tricks that you can use to build confidence. Of course, we all have questions on our mind, and I would like us to delve into the questions area. And today I've got a great speaker with me, someone whom I've been on the journey with, Mr. Cyril Aware. Thank you, Cyril, for joining us, and it's always a pleasure to have you on uh, our speaking journey.
Thank you, William. Yes, it's equally a pleasure. And this is awesome. I'm now thinking back to this very moment, right? On the train, London to Paris, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this was a very special moment, and we had some very interesting conversations about business agility. So yeah, so this is how many years ago was this, William?
This has been almost
I think it's pre-COVID.
pre-COVID. It was,
Yeah. This is
it's
when we
been a
could move
while.
around easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
no, it's great to be here. And great to see you, Gideon, Temi, Kayode. Yeah. So yeah, it's really good to have you all, and Dan as well. So yeah, Cyril Aweri. I'm a very similar background to William, agile coach, trainer, and love it. So live and breathe agile, business agility, and William asked me to join this session just to share my perspective on speaking. So yeah, similar to William, I've had the privilege of participating in speaking engagements since 2017. And I really love to share this story with you as well, because hopefully it will inspire, you or anyone else who has considered becoming a speaker to really go for it, right? And as William has been alluding to, I think speaking is meant to be one of the scariest things to embark on, right? According to research, anyway, it's like close enough to death, apparently. When I heard this, I was quite surprised, but it's really, really far from it. So, if it's okay with you, I'll share the story
Yeah,
maybe as a
go ahead. Go
beginning.
ahead.
So this is how my speaking engagements began. This was in 2017. I was in a program management engagement in London, and this message came into my inbox via LinkedIn. This gentleman reached out to me and said, I've seen your profile. You look like someone who can support with a speaking engagement, right? And I thought, really? And I was very excited, by the way. So I quickly responded, yes, let's do it. And then returned the email, sent the email back to this contact, who is now a very, very good friend, actually, and a business partner for a consultancy that we work together on now. And as soon as I sent the email back, I thought to myself, oh my God, I've just said yes to something that I'm not sure that I can deliver on. So I was tempted to say that, okay, let me just reply back and say, sorry, there's been a mistake here. I think maybe you don't quite have the right person. So let's just forget this idea. And then something said to me, no, Cyril, just leave it. Just leave it and see how things map out. So this first speaking engagement, by the way, was in Beirut. So probably not the place where you want to find yourself, right? If you listen to the news, you hear what's going on in Beirut. So when I mentioned to my friends and family that I'm traveling to Beirut for a speaking engagement, it was like, "What are you mad?" Well, nice knowing you anyway. So, cut long story short, headed out to Beirut. Awesome place, by the way. This was before the major explosion, etc. So this is quite some time ago. Really, really beautiful city. I mean, walking in central Beirut is like you're walking around Covent Garden. It's like really a thriving, buzzing city. So, and then of course comes the conference day. And I didn't sleep very well the night before, which is quite understandable. Okay, normally you should do, right? um, and it was on a topic that was very, very close to my heart. Very, very passionate about it. Business agility generally, around how do we ensure quality delivery in our projects using agile concepts, and their philosophy. So this is something, an area that William and I have been really passionate about for quite some time. So I went to the platform with my presentation deck. I did reasonably well with the preparation part, so that helped, just alluding to what William said there. Preparation is key. And you really want to be comfortable with the content that you're going to be presenting on. Yeah. Because this is what will help you to feel kind of you be yourself and just talk through, share your knowledge this way. So went through the whole presentation. I made sure that it was interactive. I was actually asking questions into the audience every now and then, and bringing some humor into it. Humor is really good, by the way. If you can bring some humor into your speaking engagements, that really helps. And then I actually went over time because when I went to the platform, I thought, what am I going to say? How am I going to fill all this time, right? But I ended up actually going over slightly. But I was forgiven because what transpired was that my talk out of there must have been, I don't know, maybe 10 plus speakers on the day. My talk was adjudged to be the best in terms of ratings, right? So this is ratings from the audience, those that attended, and it was actually higher than the conference, the way the conference was handled, right? So this was a complete surprise to me. And I went onto the platform. Between when I went onto the platform and left, I could not remember anything that I said or did, right? Um, and that was the outcome. And this is someone who's done it for the very first time. Yeah. So the reason why I just felt it's good to share this story is that if you are feeling uncomfortable or edgy, um, don't be. The important thing is that you are talking about something that you are comfortable with, knowledgeable with, and you can interact with your audience, right, in a way that would really bring them in. And then another key point as well is that it's really not about what you say, but it's about how your audience feels after they have, you know, been, part of your presentation. So feeling is a very, very critical part. I think there's a very famous quote, William. I'm not sure whether you happen to remember it from Maya Angelou.
Mm.
Yeah, there is a very, very famous quote from Maya Angelou on this topic. I can't remember it exactly. And it's usually recommended for leaders, by the way, who usually, are in a position to inspire their people. Yeah. Um, and so when giving a speech, make sure that you are able to reach the hearts of your audience, right? And not just about talking and imparting some content. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
that's a
says, I've learned that people will forget what you said.
right,
People will forget what you did,
right.
but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Exactly. Thank you, William, for validating that. Yeah. So that's quite an important part, is making sure that your audience feels what the message that you're sending across, that's really impactful. Yeah. So I just thought I'll share that story, William. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you so much. And thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that story and all the anecdotes to support building your confidence with public speaking skills.
Yeah. Mm.
So, what I would like to ask you, I've got a few questions.
Sure. Yeah.
And your personal experience shows that you spent some time preparing for it.
Mm.
How can people handle unexpected challenges or setbacks during a presentation and still remain confident on the journey?
Yeah,
How can they do that?
that's a very, very useful one. Um, yeah, fortunately they don't they don't happen. I mean, I guess it's good to prepare for them in case they do happen. Um, but a good way is I guess it's a personal, it goes back to personal development, yeah,
Mm.
around character building. Okay, so in other words, it's good to practice resilience and self reflection. But it also helps if you are like really, really agile. Okay. So
Mm.
by this, I mean being flexible and adaptable to change, right? So if this happens, this is how I'm going to respond, right? And try and um, develop that philosophy as part of how you come across, and that could really, really help. And of course, using humor. I think I mentioned humor before. Something goes wrong, I'm sure that you can always find something funny to talk about, right, on that very thing. Of course, if it's appropriate, right. And then really focusing on the message that you're trying to get across. So, not getting people to be distracted or thinking, oh, this is terrible, this has all gone wrong, right? And I think that any reasonable audience would be okay when things go wrong, by the way. They won't take it personally at you, right? That's a reasonable audience. If it's an audience that doesn't quite get that, then unfortunately they have some self-reflection to do, maybe on their side. Um, so yeah, really just building that resilience and that focus, and just acknowledge that setbacks can happen gracefully, right? It's not the end of the world. This is just how things are. Things go wrong. Um, Staying calm and composed is a very, very important skill. I think I've been told that I have this. Some of us don't have it as well, so we may do need to work on it, right?
Mm.
When something goes wrong, do you remain calm and collected and just, you know, pause and gather your thoughts and think about what you want to do next? Of course, if you respond in a panicky and oh no, this has all gone wrong, that would reflect into your audience. So yeah, just practice resilience is my recommendation. Yeah.
Are there any specific exercises or
Mm,
routines that you've gone through that would
mm,
enable you speak with confidence and
yeah.
continuously uh, engage an audience when you've
Mm,
or during a setback or
mm.
before you go on stage? Is there any specific exercises or practices that you do to get you ready for your speaking engagements?
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of working. I've always tried to work on myself, right? Breathing skills is
Mhm.
another good one, right? Taking these kind of mental breathing, and also uh, engaging with the audience uh, in a way that would make them feel calm,
Yep.
right? So that because as a speaker you are there for them, for the audience. The audience is your customer. So everything that you're doing is for your audience. So you want to make them feel relaxed and still able to engage and absorb all the content. So it's really just focusing on them and trying not to make it about you as a speaker. Because actually, I mean, speaking is really all about giving. Yeah, it's a way of giving back to society, to your audience. So it's not really about you as a speaker, but it's really about your audience. So yeah, just kind of reframing your mind to think about how can I make sure that my audience is still in a good place
Mhm.
is a yeah, key part. Yeah.
I- Okay, thanks so much. I talked about
Mm,
practicing and getting ready
yes.
into the zone. You had your
Mm,
first speech, and I'll say, prior to your first speech, probably you were giving
yeah.
presentations at work. What are some of the practices that has enabled you
Mm,
become a good speaker, or what are some of the practicing techniques that you've used over time to
yeah.
continuously help you hone your speaking skills?
Yeah, I think, and you mentioned this as well in your presentation slides there, William. I think it's good to start small, right? Um, yeah, if you haven't spoken before, as you mentioned there, maybe, with your workplace, within your team, yeah, you offer to talk about a specific topic that is going to help your team, maybe. Um, so you start with them. So it's good to kind of start with small groups um, on a topic that they can resonate with, of course, right?
Mhm.
And then you're getting the feedback from them. So yeah, preparing, rehearsing, in all these kind of different ways is certainly a good way to start it, as if you're starting from scratch. Um, and I think it's also good to structure your presentation in a way that will make it easier to flow. So the way that I usually approach mine is like these three key areas: the why of the topic, the what, and then the how. And I think that's a good kind of a very high level way of structuring it and keeping it like really, really simple. And the why is a very, very important place to start. So why are you here? talking about this topic? What does it mean for the audience? Why is it relevant for the audience? Yeah, so creating that connection at the beginning, and then maybe kind of breaking that down a bit into what this is actually about. And then the how could be, so how can I use this, as an audience? How can my audience apply this knowledge that I'm sharing in a way that is going to benefit them? And that's the value that they are taking away from your speaking engagement. So yeah, I would say that practice frequently, small group, and then over time, I think I did it slightly differently. I didn't practice. Mine was a bit of a big bang approach, right? Some 500 plus people. So yeah, my journey was slightly different. But because it was a topic that I was really, passionate about, it made it somewhat easier. Yeah.
You started with a great story, and we
Mm.
all were able to join with the story and understand your journey. And before I ask your question on stories, I'll say first, I'd
Mm.
like to say thank you to UM who's joined us. UM
Okay.
is our key home storyteller, and
Super.
he's been taking us on journeys to learn more about stories. The
Ah,
last two,
wonderful.
he spent time covering storytelling, and
Yeah.
I missed it. However, I know the video will be coming out soon, and for
Super.
for public speaking,
Mm.
storytelling is a key part of it. As
Absolutely.
UM has joined, should we give
Mm.
UM a minute or two to share a bit about storytelling?
Excited just listening to, you speak with Cyril, and I remember
Yeah.
listening to Cyril a couple of times, and
Yeah.
I thought it's nice to bring Cyril back here. But one
Yes.
of the things that has really have been thinking about recently has been the fact that we have so much talk about AI these days,
Mm.
and the bottom line is that public speaking skills is going to be one of the topmost skill set for the 21st century,
Mm.
because everything in life has to fundamentally deal with human beings. That is one thing that AI may not be able to do so successfully. AI can predict, AI can do a lot of things, but when it comes to connecting with human beings and emotions, psychologically speaking, yeah, that is what we as speakers, as public speakers, can do. And what a live speaker does is to be able to connect with human beings, because we are emotional human beings. And in psychology, there's what we call perceived action, perceived reaction, perceived thought,
Mm.
something that you perceive, perception. Okay.
Mm.
So if I see you, Cyril, today, and I can understand you as my target audience, then I am able to bring up a story that hits you, boom, I can connect
Mm.
with you instantly.
Yeah.
Now, as a public speaker, if I'm speaking, I can gauge the audience, their body language. I can gauge how they are responding. I can gauge how, all those things can be gauged. But with
Mm.
AI, that cannot be gauged.
Mm.
You see, and that's one of the greatest assets that we as public speakers have, because we know the target audience. We're seeing how they are reacting to the stories we're putting up. We can tweak it instantly or simultaneously in
Mm.
order to be able to produce results we want. Because at the end of the day, like I always say, the formula I use for public speaking is PAFT, PAFT. What's the purpose of your public speech? What's your target audience? A. What's the format of your delivery? And T is the tone. Sometimes you may need to speak maybe very passionately, strongly. Sometimes it might be a subject that you need to probably speak perhaps just barely audibly, depending on the
Yeah.
product, what you're trying to achieve. Yeah. So, I mean, that would
Mm.
be my one
Thank
cent
you.
chip
Thank
in.
you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Yuvam. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think just to add to what you were explaining there about the human element of public speaking, certainly when we moved from pre-COVID era. So most of my speaking engagements were all physically within, conferences, right? And then that changed, of course, when COVID hit. So everything became virtual. And the experience is not exactly the same. I certainly struggled, right? Presenting to a physical audience compared to doing it virtually. Because that human connection, just as you described it, OM, is very, very different when it's done virtually compared to when it's physical. It's very, very insightful. William has been sharing with us some AI tools, that we can leverage. But yeah, absolutely right, and I think the human element, not sure if AI can match that. I have to wait and see.
I mean, I just did a little experiment just now, a little
Yeah.
experiment.
Yeah.
I didn't turn on my video. Yeah.
Okay.
So what you did was just hearing my voice. So in resonating with what I said, you relied on only one thing primarily, which is the tone of my voice.
Yes.
To try to
Right.
decode and understand a bit more about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But when I turned on the video, you can
Mm.
now imagine the kind of wider understanding and depth you're going to get. Because you can
Absolutely.
connect with my face, see my facial expression. You can
Yeah.
see if I'm nodding, like when you were saying one or two things, what we call the non-verbal cues, like I'm nodding or shaking my head.
Yes.
It can help you to gauge and know how to go along.
Yeah, absolutely. That absolutely go with him. Yeah, yeah, and I think it's as you said, there is a very, very important skill, right? To be able to connect with people. As a speaker, you can literally change lives, right? For the better. So very, very important skill. And anyone can do it. To what
Yep.
William has been saying, that anyone can do it. And I think it's really unfortunate that we have some, I think it's a misconception that, some people are just gifted to be speakers while others aren't. This is a very, very sad way to think. Yeah. I think every one of us has the capability of developing certain skills. All we need, as William was explaining, is the right mentoring, coaching. Yeah. And then any of us can really embrace speaking. So I certainly highly recommend it. I mean, if you want to help change lives, yeah, become a speaker. It's a very interesting one, and I'm sure most of us in the Agile space would remember one of the Agile manifesto principles talks about face-to-face communications, right? And the question that you raised there, Gideon, always comes up, how do we do face-to-face communications in this kind of COVID-19 era with most of us having to work virtually? Now, I would say maybe a hybrid approach could work, right? And we see this as well. A lot of organizations are adopting more of a hybrid approach. So, we spend maybe 1 or 2 days a week or something in the office, and then the rest were kind of remote, working virtually. The human element is always going to be with us, right? We need to physically interact in some way. So I would say leverage any opportunity, even if it's periodical, like, once a month, or I don't know, once a quarter, whatever would work for the team, right? Have this periodical face-to-face engagement, right? Coming together as a team. So why is this so important? Because it's really not realistic to build sustainable, strong relationships when it's entirely virtual. And I've seen this firsthand, even as an agile coach. It's not possible to build these really, really important relationships if you are 100% remote. It's just really not the same. When I've had the opportunity to connect with my teams, right, physically, maybe not as often as I would like, but every now and then, the relationship changes completely, right? And of course, we need stronger relationships in order to be able to be productive and go on to deliver positive business outcomes. So it's good to try and find ways of investing, if that's the right word, ways of getting teams to come together physically, even if it's periodical. Not as often as you would like, but at least an element of that can really help.
That's the beautiful thing about life, that life sort of, first of all, I think we have to look at what are the characteristics of the age that we're living in. That's that's important to me. The first characteristic of the age we are living in is the fact that we live in at a glance age. What do I mean by that? People are lacking the discipline day in, day out to read lengthy stuff, to listen to lengthy stuff. People's attention span is getting shorter and shorter. So what that means is that when you have an opportunity to interact with people, the first thing you have to do, boom, is grab their attention and deliver. So whatever you have to give has to be condensed in such a way that you can deliver it within a very short time frame. That is the age we're living in. So you have to look at what is the characteristic. So you come into videos on the internet now, everything is mainly around probably maybe a minute to 30 seconds and stuff like that. Now, when people are going for stand-up meetings, people are going for meetings, everybody wants everybody to go boom, boom, boom to the point. Here is where public speaking comes in. Like Cyril said, your ability to adopt an approach that will hold your target audience. That's why you have to know your target audience very, very inside out, okay? So that your delivery will match the psychology of your target audience, so that you can deliver in a way that whatever you intended to get across to them will get across to them. If you do not deliver in a way that what you intended gets across to them the way you intended it to be, we say miscommunication has taken place. And then you would have wasted time. So my suggestion, my perspective would be, in any public speaking, be it at work, be it in socialization circles, religious institutions, understand your target audience. Know their psychology, do a bit of research, and condense your message, condense your speech to tie in with what you're supposed to say in a shortest amount of span so that the message hits home straight away.
Yeah, that sounds very agile too, right?
Thank you so much. And I'll finally say, find the opportunity to also listen. Listening to the things around you would also help you engage. And whenever you can, one thing we do find people not doing so well is even when you're speaking on any tool you're speaking on, make sure you can project your voice clearly, so that the audience can hear you. If you've got your camera on, keep an eye contact, looking at the camera. Projecting your voice is confidence. If you want to speak online and your voice is low and probably you're not looking into the camera, the person on the other side would not hear the things that you want to say, as said by UM and Cyril. As we wrap up, I'd like to have our speakers draw on a minute's insight on building confidence. If you were looking back in the years, what is one thing that you would do and continue doing to enable you build confidence? I'll start with Uwe.
Thanks, William. When I get out to a group to always speak, be it, start with known, from known to unknown. And your first audience is your family. Your first audience are your friends. You always move from known to unknown. If you cannot express yourself very well in the presence of your family and friends, it will be difficult to go and stand in a bigger audience to express yourself. So that's my number one tip in building confidence.
Yeah.
And be conversant, be very, very conversant with bringing up unusual topics for discussion. Topics that people would normally want to run away from, be comfortable talking about it, because that's how you build your confidence. Again, from friends, family to unknown, be it colleagues at work, classmates, and stuff like that. Okay, so always start with that. And another thing is always start by trying to arouse some sort of curiosity from your audience. You can start off with a question. Maybe you were coming down to work, something happened, something interesting happened that morning. Maybe you saw a car that skidded off the snow, or you went for jogging that morning, you observed something unusual. Start off with that. Don't just boom into it. Just start off with something to pique their interest and get their perspective from it to break the ice. That's one way of building the confidence. And lastly, the way you present yourself is very important too. Take it seriously, but with a sense of being relaxed. Don't go in there and, begin to be so uptight. Just relax yourself, relax your audience so that they can feel comfortable with you. It could be that you could wear an African print. It could be that you wear something unusual to pique their interest, or you could wear a hat, a trademark, and they'll be thinking, that's interesting. I've never seen so something that could generate a two-way conversation between you and your audience. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much,
Cyril.
Uwem. Yeah, I think you've Uwem has said all my tips, right? But it's I think just to add to what Uwem was explaining there, knowing your audience is definitely a very key one. So one strategy that I have done is that before the talk, I have tried to connect with maybe like 2 or 3 people before the talk starts, right? Just have casual conversation, getting to know them, what is their interest in this particular piece of talk, right? And like really, really connect with them. And when you start going through your talk, you can start to make eye contact with those that you have already connected with. And that can help to ease the unease, if you like, because you know them, they know you, and so there's this kind of connection there already. And that will give you the confidence to just continue through it, right? And just maintaining eye contact with these individuals that you have already kind of connected with. So that's kind of one tip that I would say can really help you start off on the right kind of footing. But yeah, as Uwe mentioned there before, is the storytelling, right at the beginning, or a provocative question maybe, right? That would kind of get people to really start to think about, what is our speaker going to be talking about here? This is a very interesting question. So yeah, just getting your audience engaged in the right way, and then you will feel comfortable. Yes.
So, thank you so much, Uwem and Cyril. My closing remark will be, for things to change, first I must change.
Yeah.
I urge you all on this journey as we build our confidence in speaking and engaging with our audience. And let's seek to change. Have a wonderful afternoon.